Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Friday, March 12th, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, ready to break down this Friday NHL card. We'll also look back on Thursday to begin the show. Of course, it was a big slate of hockey last night. Buffalo Sabres do what they do best. They lose again to the Pittsburgh Penguins, made all of us happy. The Toronto Maple Leafs, once again, almost thwarted by Connor Hellebuck, but this time they persevere and get the overtime victory against the Winnipeg Jets. So a nice win for the Leafs, a deserving win. They were the better team last night. What else do we have? We had the Chicago Blackhawks. Alex's Blackhawks bouncing back with a nice win against the Dallas Stars in a very important game for them, needing to stop the bleeding. They did that with a nice, decisive, commanding win over the Dallas Stars last night. And the Daryl Sutter-led Calgary Flames get the win in Sutter's debut behind the bench, 2-1 victory over the Montreal Canadiens, which was good to see. We all had Calgary in some form on the card, a best bet for me. So the Flames 1-0 in the Daryl Sutter era with the win against the Montreal Canadiens. And before we pass it over to Alex and let him talk about the games that we saw last night, we don't get to usually praise ourselves a lot because there's ups and downs, and sometimes there's going to be nights where Alex has a good night and I don't. Alex has a good night and Jimmy doesn't. Jimmy has a good night and Alex doesn't, or I don't. So you're not usually not often, not always going to get all three of us here on this Ice Guys crew rolling on the same night. But boy, we had that last night, a collective 16-4 for the Ice Guys crew, 80% with our Thursday NHL plays that we mentioned on the show, that same plays that also get posted on our Patreon page daily at patreon.com/Ice Guys. So it was a phenomenal Thursday. Obviously, we saw the board very well and lots of profits on the Thursday NHL card. So job well done. Pat on the back here for the Ice Guys crew, myself, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and Jimmy Murphy. It was a very profitable Thursday night. Alex, what are some of your takeaways, some of your thoughts on what we saw last night?
Yeah, well, the craziest one was game last night was definitely that Florida-Columbus. And I was, looking at the scores. I'm thinking, okay, this Florida, team, they're pretty much toast. Columbus is going to coast this one. All of a sudden, it's 4-2. Now it's 4-3. Then a big power play goal to tie it up at 4, and then incredible goal by Vetrano to win it in overtime. So that's one of my luckier wins of the year for sure. And even with Pittsburgh, I had Pittsburgh on the puck line. That was my best bet last night, and that didn't seem like it was going to cash in. It seemed like maybe if Pittsburgh would have come back and win, it would be a 1-goal game. But they were able to get 2 late in the third, 3 late rather in the third. This is just a Buffalo team now. Like I said, they're in auto fade mode. You have to find some kind of way to bet against them, be it the side, team total, puck line. But there's definitely going to be, I think, some chances to make money going against Buffalo moving forward, because this team just seems to be headed nowhere fast. And there's a whole bunch of trade rumors now. So who knows what this team will look like maybe in the next 2 or 3 weeks. It might be a bunch of guys from the Rochester team coming up and playing, and maybe that sparks something later. But as of right now, they're definitely, I have them ranked as the worst team, and I updated my goalie rankings and power rankings on the Patreon page. Buffalo is now the 31st team in the league. They're worse than Ottawa and Detroit. So that's something to note as well. And you said, saw a lot of high-scoring affairs. Most of the games ended up going over the total last night. So we only have 5 games here, but I think we're going to see some higher-scoring matchups as well this evening.
Yeah, as someone that doesn't particularly like unders a whole lot, usually that's a good thing for me on a night where there's a lot of overs and a lot of higher scoring games. And definitely we saw the goals come in for the most part last night in NHL action. All right, let's turn our attention to Friday and tonight's NHL slate. We have 5 games on tap. We'll start with the Arizona Coyotes and the Minnesota Wild. We've got Minnesota minus 185. Home favorites, the total 5.5 shaded to the under, minus 130 in this game. The Minnesota Wild coming off 2 big-time wins for them in their last 2 games against the Vegas Golden Knights, sweeping the 2 games at home against the Golden Knights. Just impressive brand of hockey being played by the Minnesota Wild. Kirill Kaprizov ends up scoring once again the other night. He has been terrific, and actually a power play goal for him the other night. And before that, Minnesota, there hasn't been a lot of negatives about this team, but their power play effectiveness was one of the negatives. 0 for 20 they were going into that Wednesday night power play goal scored by Kaprizov in the victory against the Golden Knights. Obviously, this team is playing some excellent hockey. I mean, I wouldn't have expected 15-9 on the season so far for the Minnesota Wild. However, I have some reservations and some hangups about them laying minus 185 here in this game tonight for a couple of reasons. It was two big victories. You're playing an Arizona team that, even though it's ugly, even though they can get outshot like they did against Colorado badly, they got outshot the other night. All they do is hang around games, in games. And right now, Antti Raanta is just in a zone right now for the Arizona Coyotes. And he was really the main reason the Coyotes beat Colorado in the first of the two games against the Avalanche. And he's the only reason they had a chance to win the second game and force overtime. Took overtime for Colorado to win that game, but really they should have won it more handily than that. Dominated in shots, territorial edge, high danger chances, the expected goals margin in that game between the Avalanche and Coyotes. It was all in favor of Colorado, but Antti Raanta did a phenomenal job in that one. A little bit surprised, maybe because they want to give him a rest day, give him a little bit of a break. He has played a lot of hockey since he's really become essentially taken over the number one job, that being Kaapo Kähkönen here for the Minnesota Wild. But Dean Evason giving him a rest. Cam Talbot in net. Cam Talbot's got a win-loss record sub 500 when he's been a starter this year, 4-5. And his numbers just haven't been quite as good as Kähkönen. That's why Kähkönen's gotten all the starts of late for this Minnesota Wild team. You factor that in, which concerns me. You factor that in. They're coming off two enormous wins against Vegas. This could be a game where Arizona hangs around a little bit. The draw kind of interests me as well. I think it's a tight game. I think it's a very competitive game. But I'm going to take a small little chance here with the Arizona Coyotes at this big price here. You can get them at about plus 165 in this game. From a spot perspective, I don't like it all that much for Minnesota. It's not easy to go against this team, and certainly I was on them a couple of times during this run. But now you're talking about them laying minus 185 in what I think is a little bit of a dubious spot. I'll take a little small bet here on Arizona. Nothing significant, but I do like Arizona enough to take them on a small wager in this game against the Wild. Alex, your thoughts here, Coyotes and Wild?
I got to go with the old not so fast, my friend. I like this Minnesota team right now, and they were the bounce back after having a couple of rough efforts, and come home and get those two big wins against Vegas. I think that really got them right back into the realm of things. They've won 5 straight now at home. They've played well against this Arizona team. The last meeting obviously was a flat spot for the Wild, being on the road that long, and Arizona took advantage. But the Wild had won the last 4 meetings against them. They've also won 6 of the last 9 meetings here in St. Paul against Arizona overall. So, this is an Arizona team. Yeah, Ronta's doing well, but their offense can be up and down at times, where I just feel a lot more comfortable backing the Wild at home with the way this offense is playing. If they can figure out their power play, this team is absolutely lethal. But they've got the goaltending, they got the defense, they play solid both ways. Now 185 is an awfully steep number, so I'm going to be playing this in regulation. I got it at minus $1.15. You can find it around $1.15, $1.20 price. That's a much better price to be playing for. But I think they'll be able to win this game in regulation and should be able to take care of this Arizona team. They're a pesky bunch, but I think the Wild just have a little bit more, especially playing at home, to win this one.
Well, there's no doubt in current form-wise, Minnesota has that, and certainly capable of taking care of business against Arizona. That, let's be honest, they didn't generate a whole lot offensively against Colorado the other night. But Rick Tocchet, even in the loss against the Colorado Avalanche the other night, said very vehemently that, hey, we can't just be that putrid offensively in terms of how much we have the puck and expect to win games. So I expect them to be a lot better here tonight with this. Will it be enough to win is the big question. We know offensively it's been very, very spotty from the Coyotes. There's not much to dislike with Minnesota, but I do dislike this spot enough. And hey, sometimes the big dogs do come in. Look no further last night than the Detroit Red Wings. What were they? Plus 300. And they shocked the Tampa Bay Lightning last night, 5-2. So once in a while, I like to take a chance on a spot that I worry about for a big favorite, and I worry about this one a little bit at least for Minnesota. Next up, we've got the Vegas Golden Knights and the St. Louis Blues. We've got St. Louis minus 120, slight home favorites here, 5.5 the total in this one. This is a tricky one because Vegas is really banged up. They've missed Mark Stone and Alex Pietrangelo in the last 2 games against the Minnesota Wild. There's no guarantee they get either of those guys back tonight. I'm pretty sure Pietrangelo for sure not going to play. He flew back to Las Vegas prior to the last game The Blues, certainly are a little bit, they're banged up too, don't get me wrong, but Vegas definitely hasn't been quite that same team the last couple with the injuries mounting. We know that obviously now Marc-Andre Fleury placed on the COVID-19 protocol list on Thursday, meaning he's out. Robin Lehner is still on IR. I thought they were going to turn to the safety Oscar Dansk, but I don't even see him on the goalie depth chart right now for the Vegas Golden Knights. So I'm looking at Logan Thompson and Dylan Ferguson here, apparently with the two goalies that are on this depth chart for the Vegas Golden Knights. And Logan Thompson is probably the guy that's going to start. He did come into the game in relief of Marc-Andre Fleury on Wednesday night in the third period against Minnesota. Great numbers in the AHL level, but again, we're talking about now got to show it at the NHL level and show it against the St. Louis team where offensively, remember they were in the doldrums for a little bit, including 2 losses at home to the LA Kings where they just couldn't find the back of the net. They go on that road trip and all of a sudden they're lighting up the scoreboard. This Blues team was the Zach Sanfords of the world. Ryan O'Reilly's been very good offensively lately. Braden Shen has stepped things up. They're getting a lot of different guys all of a sudden contributing offensively here for the Blues. Even Sundqvist Juices, Oscar Sundqvist has been able to find the back of the net for the Blues. They're getting their depth forward scoring. Some of their bigger guys are scoring as well. So I think the Blues are definitely a little bit more in terms of current form trustworthy. But I don't know if I'm rushing, even with the kid in net, Logan Thompson for Vegas, to fade Vegas based on the spot. 2 straight losses, not going to sit well with them. And now they're a slight underdog. And I still think when you match these two teams up head to head, I think Vegas is still the superior team. So that's why from a side perspective, I'm going back and forth on this game. But one thing I'm not going back and forth with is the total here. It's 5.5. The Blues have been trending over the total lately. No question, as their offense has picked it up. Vegas, the last game went over the total, and I'll take my chance, 5.5, surging Blues offense. Goalie, we don't know if he's going to be able to hang in there and play well tonight in his Logan Thompson for the Vegas Golden Knights. And on the flip side, I think Vegas can find the back of the net. Jordan Binnington's in net, and he's still been very much up and down. Hasn't been a brick wall at any stretch behind in between the pipes for the Blues. And the Blues have not exactly shut the door defensively, even during the recent streak where they've played better and won. They've still given up in most games 2-3 goals. So I can see Vegas finding the back of the net, and I believe the Blues will as well. So I like this game over 5.5 here, minus 120 between Vegas and St. Louis. Alex, what are your thoughts? Blues, Golden Knights.
Yeah, I like this over as well. I grabbed it. I got it over 5.5 minus $1.15, but I still like it at $1.20, even $1.25 in the spot. And like I said, it's all about the goaltending. You look at the Vegas issue right now, obviously with no Fleury, and them having to turn to Thompson and Dylan Ferguson as their 2 backups. Oscar Dansk, as far as I know, he's in Henderson, and he's splitting time with Robin Lehner, who's on his conditioning assignment in Henderson. But looking at Logan Thompson's numbers, not just in the AHL, but even the year before, his full season in the ECHL with South Carolina, he had tremendous numbers there too. So if you combine the two, he's 29, 7, and 1 in those last season and a half. However, the difference is this year in the AHL is a lot of the teams, especially in that Western Division, Western Quadrant, they're playing games not just in their big regular arenas. A lot of those teams are playing in smaller rinks in other areas, not their usual settings. A lot of practice facility kind of setup. So the dynamic is even greater when you go from AHL to NHL this particular season, because obviously there's no fans for the majority of either teams unless you're playing with Dallas or some other teams that have a crowd. But just your sight lines of going from playing in a practice facility for games to going to a faster NHL, in a full arena, that could be a bit of an adjustment, I think, more so than the usual call up from the AHL to the NHL. So that's to look at when you see there's a few teams that have some goalie issues that have to bring some guys up, especially with some of the younger guys making their debuts. That's something to make a kind of look out for. But with these two teams, it's been all offense, especially against one another. 7-2 the last 9 to the over. I think this is going to be a very high scoring game. And I saw some people in the chat talk about the draw. I wouldn't talk anybody out of that either. 3 of the last 4 meetings have gone to overtime between these two teams. So we could see one of those crazy games like when St. Louis played, San Jose, and it's, 6-6, possibly going to overtime. So I don't know if it's going to be that high scoring, but I think it'll be enough to get over that 5.5. So I like the over. I'm not going to touch anything with the side.
All right, both of us, Alex and I, on over 5.5 here with Vegas and St. Louis. Yeah, Binnington just 1-4 in his last 5 starts, so he has struggled a little bit in 1-4-1, I should say, in his last 6 starts or 1-3-1 in his last 5 starts. There we go for Jordan Binnington for the St. Louis Blues. So I think he's a little bit shaky. I mean, they also got Vladimir Tarasenko, of course, back. Just recently, the Blues, I know they've still got Schwartz and Bozak and Barbashev and Robert Thomas out, but the big reason why St. Louis has been an over team and trended that way lately, Alex, is because of the play of their blue line, and it's shorthanded blue line that they're dealing with right now. Colton Parayko's injury matters, and Carl Gunnarsson, who's out for the season. That's really where you can trace back the start of this little surge in scoring in St. Louis games, was the Carl Gunnarsson season-ending injury, a couple of weeks ago. And ever since then, they've trended to the over. Odds makers not paying attention. They usually set the same base numbers, money line prices, totals with certain teams. We've seen pretty much every St. Louis game 5.5 or most of them during this run. So it's been a great value bet, St. Louis over the total. And obviously, Alex and I agree that it is one more time tonight in this game. All right, next game on the Friday slate, we've got Ottawa, Edmonton. Oilers minus 240 favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. There's just really no way I could trust Ottawa to beat Edmonton at this rate. They have just had a really hard time matching up against the Oilers. The Oilers have dominated this team all season long. Last game was just ugly for the Ottawa Senators, 7-1 loss at the hands of the Edmonton Oilers. They just can't wait, I think, to get back and get these series of games done with Edmonton. It's just been all Edmonton all the time. We'll see if Ottawa tries to tighten it up. DJ Smith saying, blaming him, putting the blame on him. And that's what I think the coach should do when you got a young group. Sometimes you just eat the blame. You can't just rip the players night in and night out when you've got a rebuilding franchise and you've got a young team. Sometimes you just got to say, it's on me. I didn't get him ready. And that's kind of what he did the other night in the 7-1 loss against the Edmonton Oilers. I will say this, the couple of times they've been really humiliated, Ottawa, this year. The next game, they've been a lot better. So I don't know if I'm comfortable with the puck line or regulation line or anything with Edmonton. I certainly don't have as much any faith in Ottawa to bet them, but that's what would keep me off the Edmonton side. I think this game, and Alex, you had a good thought with the under. You mentioned kind of like in the under the last game. It was a good thought, even though, of course, Edmonton gets over by themselves. I think this could be the night where you come back with the under, because I think Ottawa knows they got to tighten this up tonight. You cannot, under any circumstances, play a game of up and down, let's trade chances type of hockey with the Edmonton Oilers. They they gave up the 2 quick goals early, and then they had to open up. The key is don't give up that early goal. And I think if Ottawa doesn't give up that early goal tonight, it'll have a better chance to stay under. So I haven't bet anything in this game. I'm not going to have anything on this game, but I do lean a little bit under 6.5. Alex, how about you here? Ottawa, Edmonton.
Yeah, that's the only way I'd be looking at. Maybe a first period puck line with Edmonton, because they've, like I said, they've jumped out to some big leads against Ottawa in these last 6 games, or at least these 4 of the last 6 games where they have left with a lead. It's been 4-0. Another game 5-3, 3-0, 2-1. So that's the thing. They've dominated Ottawa from start to finish. And that's the only thing that's worth value looking at with Edmonton. Everything else, you're laying a big price. Obviously, the regular money line, but you're laying a big price with regulation. You're laying $1.50 for the over 3.5 the team total. You're laying $1.05 or $1.10 for the regular puck line. So I like the first period puck line. So that'll be the one thing I'll play here. But like I said, until Ottawa figures something out, and like I said, even the total shaky because, okay, if Ottawa doesn't score anything, but then if Edmonton rallies off 7 goals like they did the last game, then that 6.5 is trouble too. So I'll just go with Edmonton first period puck line, laying a half a goal. You can get plus $1.15.
All right, plus 115 on Edmonton puck line, minus a half goal. So basically they lead after the first period. Your bet cashes on that one. We've got LA and Colorado on the Friday night slate here. Colorado minus 230, home favorites 5.5, shaded to the over at minus 115. We've got to put an APB out on the Colorado offense. How do you generate all the offense and chances and opportunities and just come up with such little, in terms of offensive production? And that's been an issue lately for the Colorado Avalanche. And, it's becoming a little bit of a concern that, they haven't been getting a ton of production up and down their lineup. Their power play has been kind of, shaky and hasn't been clicking in recent games. And if you're going to be laying this kind of price tag, I need to count on you to be able to score. I mean, even in what I thought was a home run spot, bounce back spot against Arizona, there I am losing Colorado in regulation because, they just couldn't bury their chances. It's nice to have the shots. It's nice to have the opportunities, but at some point you need the puck to go in the net. And lately that hasn't been happening consistently enough for the Colorado Avalanche. And that's why it's dangerous, especially against an LA team that's got, characteristics of that Arizona team that the Colorado Avalanche just played written all over it. The Arizona team that, by the way, they lost to in the first game and needed overtime to beat in the second game. LA is that team that they can dig in defensively. They're not a gifted offensive team, but I'll admit they've been better offensively this season than I thought. Dustin Brown's turned back the clock. Kopitar's been great. Adrian Kempe's been outstanding. Alex Iafallo as well has been really good for the LA Kings. Gabe Vilardi, the rookie, has made an impact offensively for LA. It's been a much better offensive team than I thought. And to me, Colorado is one of those teams where even in a game like this, where you think they can win the game, I could see this being 1-1 with 4 minutes to go in the third period, just like it was the other night against Arizona. It's just a team that's having trouble turning all of these chances, all of this offensive zone time into actual offensive production right now. So that's why it's a little bit of a tricky team to want to bet and handicap right now, this Colorado Avalanche team. It's going to be Grubauer and net for them tonight. Keep an eye on the LA goaltending situation because we've got a lot of moving parts. Cal Peterson, he may be available tonight. We don't know if he's going to be able to play. It was obviously Troy Grosenick, the journeyman goalie that was recalled from the AHL to play the other night. And people were asking me, was I worried about my LA bet against Anaheim the other night? I said, no, watch them play hard for him. Watch them play a really good team game in front of him. And that's exactly what the LA Kings did in that very impressive victory against the Anaheim Ducks, giving Troy Grosenick an NHL victory in between the pipes the other night. So it could be Grosenick again if Cal Peterson is unable to go. We'll have to wait and see on that. But to me, this is a pass for me until I know that. If Grosenick's in net again, I could actually see myself taking a chance here with LA in some form, either LA money line, LA in regulate, or LA money line, maybe a draw option as well. LA Colorado draw might be worth a look regardless of who's in net because they're struggling to beat teams by margin right now, and they're in a lot of close games lately, the Avalanche. So the draw might be in play here at a good plus price. What do you think, Alex, with the Kings and Avalanche?
Yeah, I'm just reading a tweet from the Kings PR account on Twitter. Cal Peterson has cleared protocol, and he joined the Kings in Colorado. He's expected to participate in today's morning skate, and he is available for tonight's game. So I would more than likely guess that he would be the starter over Grosenick.
Probably, yes.
Yeah, and that was a great win for Grosenick. That was his first win, only his second career NHL win, but his first win in 7 seasons. This guy had pretty much been buried in the AHL between the San Jose organization and traded and played in the Nashville organization with Milwaukee Admirals, and put up some mid-range numbers in the AHL. Didn't look like he would ever get a chance to be in the NHL again, but obviously circumstances and carrying an extra goalie. So kudos to him for getting that big win. But now with Peterson back in, I lean with LA ever so slightly here in this spot. They were able to play Colorado pretty tough at the beginning of the year when Colorado was a much better team than they are right now. And you look at this current form angle, even though LA's been struggling as well, but I think this could be one of those spots where, like I said, they kind of hang around and play pretty tight. So we're talking about out of the draw here too, but I think LA might be able to find a way to win. So it's not official, but it's just a stronger lean.
All right, just a lean to LA. I would lean under the total as well, but again, no bet as of right now, and I may not before puck drop. Final game on this Friday slate, Battle of California. This used to be San Jose and Anaheim, two of the better teams in the NHL. Not so much this year. San Jose minus 115, slight road favorites here. The total 5.5, shaded to the over in this game between these two teams. It looks like Devin Dubnyk's confirmed for the San Jose Sharks in net tonight. So he's going to get another start. I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing, at least defensively for the San Jose Sharks, but we'll give San Jose credit. I mean, they ended a 3-game losing streak in their last game, a 3-2 overtime victory against St. Louis. Good win against a solid Blues team. Blues team at the end of a road trip. So those are always those spots where sometimes the road team doesn't bring their best game, but nevertheless, I won't criticize that win too much. It was a solid win for sure for the San Jose Sharks. On the flip side, Anaheim lost 5-1 to LA. Talked about that just now. Troy Grosnick getting his first win as a LA Kings starting netminder. Devin Dubnyk, it looks like he's going to get, like I said, consecutive starts for the San Jose Sharks here. Anaheim, here's another team, sneaky over team. Not all the time, but more often than not, since they recalled Zegras, since they made some Dallas Eakins really juggled his top six forward group. And really since then, this team has shown a little bit more offensive upside, and they've also not really played as well defensively. You're seeing them give up goals and score a few more goals, Anaheim, compared to very early in the season when they were a dead nuts under team. John Gibson was standing on his head. Defensively, they were keeping teams held down largely because of Gibson, and they weren't scoring. They couldn't put the puck in the ocean early in the season. Now they are picking it up offensively, but their defensive game is regressing. And lo and behold, John Gibson, I don't know what it is, but he hasn't been all that sharp and all that great lately. You're seeing him start to stumble a little bit. I think it's because he's faced a shit ton of shots, on a regular basis. And he's wearing down, a lot of games under his belt. Anaheim, to me, is a team that doesn't score a lot for him. So he's not only facing shots, he's facing high danger, high stress shots because he's always in a close game, or he always feels like he's got to make the save to give himself and this suspect offense at times a chance to win games. And it looks like right now, John Gibson's just in one of those valleys. He's a great goalie. He was amazing for like the first few weeks, but now there's a few, maybe he's wearing down a bit, maybe needs a rest. I don't know if he's going to get that rest tonight. It sure looks like he's on track to start once again for Anaheim, but factor in all of this together. San Jose, I don't trust them defensively. Anaheim's improved a little bit offensively, but regressed a little bit defensively. And just like I feel with the Vegas St. Louis game with that total of 5.5, I feel this one, is definitely a good over bet for me. So San Jose, Anaheim for me, and this one over 5.5. That is my going to be my wager on this game between the Sharks and the Ducks. Nothing on the side. I mean, San Jose, maybe I trust them slightly more because they had a nice win the last game. But again, asking them to win 2 in a row, I'm not going to do that. And Anaheim, I don't think I've bet Anaheim once this year. I don't feel like starting now. So nothing on the side, but I do like the game to go over the total. Alex, what's your take here with Anaheim, San Jose?
I'm on this regulation draw. I got it at plus 320, which is a really good price when you look at the angles here. In 3 meetings between these two teams, 2 of them gone in overtime. The other one was a 3-2 game that easily could have gone in OT as well. And Terry mentioned it in the chat. 2 of the last 5 games for the Sharks have gone to overtime. 3 of the last 5 for the Ducks have gone to overtime. So when you have all those angles, and I talked about it yesterday, how usually I like to play quarter unit, half unit for a regulation play on a card. But when it's a short card like this and you have angles backing that trend, I'll go a full unit here to the regulation draw at a great price of plus 320.
All right, there we go. Plus 320 draw with San Jose and Anaheim. And like I said, I think the LA Colorado game, that might be worth a draw. Look, hell, Vegas St. Louis. This could be a lot of close 1-goal games, maybe some overtime tonight, because I think Alex and I both think that 3 of the 5 games tonight could have a chance to go to beyond regulation. The St. Louis game, the Colorado game, and as Alex just mentioned, this game between San Jose and Anaheim. Yeah, 22 starts for Gibson. That's a lot. He's ready for a rest. I think he's starting to feel it. Little fatigue starting to set into his game right now. He's had a lot of pressure with a team that, especially early in the year, struggled to score goals. That's a lot of duress, and stress adds up to fatigue. It's not just physical fatigue. It's mental fatigue. It's emotional fatigue. Right. Like, geez, I'm going to make every save because this team couldn't score a lick for me early in the season. That builds up over time as well.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of great goalies break under that pressure. Look at Carey Price a couple of years ago. Was in that same spot. There's been quite a few goalies where they feel like if they know they have to make 35, 40 saves every single night, they go between the pipes because they can't rely on the offense in front of them or the blue liners in front of them to block pucks and clear the zone out consistently. Then that wears on you, like I said, mentally and physically. And I think that's exactly where Gibson is right now. So, at some point they're going to have to give him a rest. And the thing is, they can't really trust Ryan Miller now at 40 years of age to, carry a load, 2-3 consecutive starts. So I'm not sure what Anaheim's going to do, but they're going to have to figure something out sooner than later.
All right, there we go. Great stuff, Alex. A great discussion on the Friday card. That'll wrap up the Friday NHL breakdown here on today's edition of the Ice Guys. Before we get to best bets to wrap up the show, a reminder, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, sign up for an account, use the promo code THPN. You'll get a deposit bonus. You'll get bet boosts. You'll get incentives, weekly specials, all of that included with your DraftKings Sportsbook account. As long as you download the app, sign up for the account, use the promo code THPN, you're eligible for all of those weekly specials, the deposit bonus, the incentives. So make sure you check that out and do that if you haven't already. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, sign up for an account, and use the promo code THPN. Reminder on this Friday that our weekend editions of the Ice Guys are noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. Pacific, Saturday and Sunday, earlier start time so that we can get in all the afternoon games that take place on the weekend. And as I say every day on this show, we work weekends. We don't close up shop, and we're not a Monday to Friday operation here at the Ice Guys. We're 7 days a week bringing you NHL from a betting perspective, every single game on the board. Nobody does it like this, and we're proud of it. We're proud of nights like last night, 16-4, 80%. Hell of a night collectively for Alex, for Jimmy, and myself. Let's see if we could keep it rolling into tonight and keep it going with best bets as well. Alex, what do you like for a best bet on this Friday card?
I'm going to go with Vegas and St. Louis over 5.5. Get it at minus $1.20. You said, spotty goaltending situation right now for Vegas. And like I said, shaky goaltending with Bennington as well. He hasn't been playing well of late, but both these teams can score. I think it's definitely going to be a high scoring affair. So 5.5 at only laying $1.20 is a fair price. Go with the over here at that best bet.
All right, Vegas, St. Louis, over 5.5, minus 120 for Alex B. Smith with his best bet. See if I can give you another one after the Calgary Flames got it done last night. I'm going with an over too, but I'm going with the other over that I like. San Jose, Anaheim. We're going to go over 5.5 there at minus 120. Again, the Sharks offensively, I like them. The Sharks defensively, I don't like them. I still don't trust Devin Dubnyk. He actually played pretty well in the win against St. Louis. But is this a guy that usually puts two good starts in a row together? Not very often. I think Anaheim finds the back of the net. And like we said with Anaheim, defensively and John Gibson, not wearing down a bit, giving up some goals. I think the Sharks are able to find the back of the net as well. So let's go with San Jose, Anaheim, over 5.5, minus 120. That's my best bet for this Friday NHL card. And that'll wrap up this last edition of the Ice Guys for the weekday portion of this week. We thank you, everyone, for watching. And a reminder, if you can't watch the show live on YouTube daily, be sure to download the Ice Guys in audio podcast form on all major podcast platforms. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Friday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we'll talk to you again tomorrow on Saturday for another edition of the Ice Guys presented by the Hockey Podcast Network.